Have you ever been at home watching TV when all of a sudden Shin Godzilla appears and you hate it so much but have no way to express that hate? Yes, that is exactly what's happening right now. Well, don't worry, because now you can with your very own Why I Hate Shin Godzilla merchandise. We're talking t-shirts, hats, bags, wristbands, coffee mugs. If you don't drink coffee, it's just a mug. Pens, keychains, and even fidget spinners, because those are a thing right now. With these, you can, express your hate or something like that. So next time you watch it, you'll be ready. You can get all of these and more. And if you order right now, you won't just get one item of your order, you'll receive a second so you can give it to your friend and pass on the hate. Call the number on screen or click the link in the description now to receive this limited time offer, because if you don't, oh, that's not good. Nope, just stop the truck. What's up, guys? Gajir51 here, also known as Richard Manzo, and so apparently people are saying I'm beating a dead horse, my content is so old, I'm not relevant anymore, that I should move on from this topic. People are saying that nobody likes my content anymore, even saying look at the amount of dislikes I have on my Shin versus 2014 video. Well, I'd say back to them, look at the likes. I feel like it's a little more. But you know what? I feel they may be right. I feel they may be onto something. Maybe comparing 2014 to Shin Godzilla is oversaturated. It's overdone. I mean, 2014 came out, what, 3 years ago now, and Shin Godzilla came out last year? I feel I should change it up a bit. But don't worry, because I have something new. Instead of comparing Shin Godzilla to Godzilla 2014, we are going to be comparing Shin Godzilla to Godzilla 1998. It's different, right? I mean, what? Are you all satisfied now? Also, I'm going to be calling 1998 Godzilla and not Zilla for this video. I'm saying this because I do not want 95% of the comments being, it's Zilla, not Godzilla. So anyway, with all that said, let's actually get into this video. Characters. One of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem, are the characters of Shin Godzilla. You can't even call them that. They are literally just cardboard cutouts. They are so emotionless to the point they don't even feel human. Actually, I would much prefer that this movie just had cardboard cutouts of famous characters you would see in like an FYE store or something. They at least have some personality. Yaguchi wants to be Prime Minister, Kayako Ann Patterson wants to be the US President, even though she can't speak English.
That's US-Japan, so win-win.
Understood. Let's get to it.
Thank you. Oh, I rushed to Yokota straight from a party, so I didn't have time to change. Zara, doko?
An antisocial girl smiles for the first time, and the new prime minister hates soggy noodles. That is literally it. But why do we care about any of it? We don't have any reason to. Actually, I hate soggy noodles, so I guess the new prime minister, who gets like 30 seconds of screen time, is the most relatable. The biggest problem though is that we are left with the cutouts for about 90% of the film. This is why I could not watch the film again if my life depended on it, even with a gun to my head. As for 98s, they're not the best written characters ever by any stretch, but they're fun, and there is definitely an attempt to make you care for them, and honestly, I do at some points. You have the relationship between Nico and Audrey. Nico is a nerdy scientist, and Audrey is a wannabe reporter. Nico is the outcast we can all relate to, and Audrey is the one striving for more when it never comes. They have history together as well, and it makes us invest more into their relationship. Nico also takes matters into his own hands when he's determined to find the nest with the help of Felipe Roche. Or is that Roche? Or Roche? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's by far my favorite character. He's a cool, calm, and collective agent for the French secret intelligence, attempting to cover up Godzilla's origin since the French are responsible. He also feels the French need protection from themselves.
Keep it moving. Oh, thank you very much.
Animal and Lucy are also great as the classic New York couple. Hank Azaria plays Animal, and he's such a fun and charismatic character. Actually thinking about it, they all are. You can relate to them on a personal level, something that you cannot do in Shin Godzilla because they aren't people. It also makes the film go by so much faster when Godzilla isn't on screen having characters that you are somewhat invested into. Soundtrack. Now, like or hate the film, you cannot deny that 98 has a pretty great soundtrack. The main theme by far is the most memorable, but it sets the tone for the entire film. When you see the boats being dragged under the water by Godzilla, you have the very eerie score. When you see him for the first time, it's almost like Jurassic Park and seeing the dinosaurs for the first time. It's awe-inspiring, and you feel it because of the score. It immerses you into the film. The same, however, cannot be said for Shin Godzilla. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. For every great score there are 3 bad ones to follow. I love Persecution of the Masses, The Offensive, and who will know? For their dark religious undertones. But then you have songs that are pulled directly from an anime, Evangelion, have some Pokemon battle music, '80s rock and slow jazz playing over destruction. The one I hate the most by far, though, is Organization Formation and its 5 other identical variants.
巨災隊事務局長の矢口だ。本対策室の中。
放射線
Oh, excuse me. I got pretty riled up there. If that wasn't enough though, you also mix that with the classic Akira Ifukube scores and it makes for one disaster of a soundtrack. It is so inconsistent and takes you out of it. 98 may be a little generic at times, but it never takes you out of the film. And you still have the great Puff Daddy. Special effects. Now this one may sound a little odd, but hear me out. If you were to compare both of the film's special effects compared to the films they were released around the same time with, they are both mixed bags for different reasons. Shin Godzilla is completely CGI. A lot of people always in the comments get on to me about how they use suits and practical effects in Shin Godzilla, but they didn't. It's all CGI. They made the test puppets and such, but they scrapped them pretty early on in production. 98 also uses CGI. Now, something they both have in common though is the CGI for both isn't that great in certain shots and scenes. The day shots for both is when it suffers the most. You see the flaws in the technology. It's the opening for Shin Godzilla in his first forms and 98's first appearance. However, the night scenes for both look very good. Shin Godzilla of course looking better because it's 20 years newer. But something that 98 has over Shin by far is its use of practical effects. Kind of ironic though, isn't it? A legendary fanboy like me fighting with Toho fanboys saying that practical is better, with them preferring all CGI. But 98 does have some of the best practical effects I've ever seen. They constructed miniatures like the fishing pier scene when Godzilla comes ashore and destroys the docks, or when he picks up the delivery truck, or when the taxi cab is inside his mouth. They also actually constructed a full 36-foot tall animatronic of his head and torso that weighed 14,250 pounds. It was used primarily for close-up shots, and it moved and breathed realistic and interacted with the buildings and cars and environment all around it. They also made 8 full-body suits of the baby Godzillas, and much like the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park, they had the actors on stilts wearing the 80-pound suits. 98 doesn't hold up the best in CGI terms, but in practical, it is some of the best stuff I've ever seen, right below Jurassic Park. And finally, Godzilla himself. Now this is going to be the one to piss off the most, but I think that 98 is a better Godzilla than Shin Godzilla. The way I like to explain this is that they are both on the same spectrum, just at opposite ends of it. 98 took a much more realistic approach to Godzilla, while Shin took, honestly, I don't even know. I'm not sure, and that's one of my biggest problems. Shin Godzilla, I guess, is an overpowered version of Godzilla throwing realism out of the door, even though they tried so hard to set that up in the first act. They changed the character so much to the point it doesn't even feel like Godzilla. It's a lot like what Marvel does sometimes with its characters like Thor or Iron Man. They replaced Iron Man before with a black teenage girl. They still had the basics that it's a person in a metal suit that can fly and shoot repulsor beams, but other than that they changed everything about the character. They changed the race, ethnicity, the age, the personality, and so on and so forth. That's exactly what they did with Shin Godzilla. If I were able to get my hands on the CGI renderings of Shin Godzilla and replace them with any Ultraman kaiju, that's an Ultraman monster, right? I think so. But if I were able to replace it with that, there would be no problem. It would be its own new kaiju and it would actually fit a lot more. Godzilla has never had different evolving forms. He's never been a constantly evolving being. He's never been able to split his jaw into 2 and extend it at a 90-degree angle. He's never had a protective membrane to cover his eye. He's never had a flammable smoke breath, never actually shot fire even though it's always been a misconception. Godzilla's never been able to shoot like 20 different purple lasers out of his back. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 17. Okay, yeah, close to it. He's never had an EMP attack. He's never had an entire mouth on the end of his tail that can shoot a laser. And he's never been able to grow Godzilla humanoids from his tail. For all 62 years that Godzilla has been around, what changed? Sure, sometimes his breath changed colors, or he may have a minor power upgrade like a nuclear pulse, but that makes sense, even his burning form. But why would Godzilla need to grow humanoids? The difference between 98 and Shin Godzilla is that they really didn't add anything. They just made it more realistic. They toned him down for a more realistic setting. They wanted to depict Godzilla as a tragic animal that was created by us, humans, but cannot exist in our world. He was a mutated iguana because it's more realistic. They chose speed and intelligence over invulnerability and stupidity because no animal can take 20 missiles. Most conventional weaponry is useless against 98, like machine guns and tanks, but missiles are going to hurt him, of course. We've seen baby Godzillas before. The film just represents it in a more realistic and animalistic way, having him create a nest and lay 200 eggs. A common iguana can actually lay anywhere from 20 to 71 eggs. He is a giant 260-foot radioactive iguana, so it makes sense. Instead of standing upright, he's hunched over like a T-Rex. It's more realistic in terms of balancing. That's also the reason he attacks cargo ships, destroys the city, and fights the military for his own survival and to feed his babies. They even make his atomic breath more realistic, having him roar flammable winds of gas that ignite, causing a wall of fire and explosions. The only traits and abilities they added were the burrowing underground, a trait of iguanas, and a camouflage ability that we don't really get to see in the film, but it's actually a survival trait that allows him to blend into surrounding buildings and environments. What it really comes down to, though, is that 98 had a clear objective and a take on Godzilla they set out on achieving, and it worked for a realistic approach to Godzilla. He is the most plausible Godzilla to exist. But on the other hand, we have Shin Godzilla, which, much like its character, special effects, and soundtrack, is so inconsistent. In the beginning, they tried to make him a realistic creature, but at the very end, he turned into an anime and had no more similarities to Godzilla than this thing. Instead, overall, I think 98 should be the one called Godzilla, and Shin Godzilla should be called Shin Zilla 2.0. But yes, guys, that is why I believe that 98 is the superior Godzilla. It is the true Godzilla of the two, and that's why I think it is the better Godzilla film. But thank you guys so much for watching, though. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Also, the guys, the hate is back. It's still continuing. I know that people are actually legitimately getting tired of this. I will change it up and stuff. But also, the editing in this video should have improved. I'm using a new software. I can use keyframing techniques and stuff like that. That's how I create the little animations. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But also, guys, I just hope you enjoy this new content. I'm going to keep making stuff. I have other videos planned for the future. So if you have not already, just go ahead and subscribe for that. That's basically why I think 98 is the better film. No clickbait, guys. I legitimately think this. I'm not just saying this. Also, if you like videos like this, you can click on screen to see more like this. But yes, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Then Gojira 51, as always, out.